Chapter 11, Part 2 of Bel Ami, or The History of a Scoundrel. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Martin Geeson. Bel Ami, or The History of a Scoundrel, by Guy de Maupassant. Translator unknown. Chapter 11. Mme Walter Takes a Hand, Part 2. They descended the stairs and entered a large room, which was lighted by Venetian lanterns and decorated with festoons of gauze. Nearly all the benches were filled with ladies, who were chatting as if they were at a theatre. Mme. Walter and her daughters reached their seats in the front row. Duroy, having obtained their places for them, whispered, "I shall be obliged to leave you. Men cannot occupy the seats." Mme. Walter replied hesitatingly, "I should like to keep you just the same. You could tell me the names of the participants. See, if you stand at the end of the seat, you will not annoy anyone." She raised her large, soft eyes to his and insisted, "Come, stay with us, Bel Ami, we need you." He replied, "I obey with pleasure, madame." Suddenly, Jacques Rival's voice announced, "We will begin, ladies." Then followed the fencing match. Duroy retained his place beside the ladies and gave them all the necessary information. When the entertainment was over and all expenses were paid, 220 francs remained for the orphans of the 6th Ward. Duroy, escorting the Walters, awaited his carriage. When seated face to face with Mme. Walter, he met her troubled but caressing glance. "Egad, I believe she is affected," thought he, and he smiled as he recognized the fact that he was really successful with the female sex. For Mme. de Marelle, since the renewal of their relations, seemed to love him madly. With a light heart he returned home. Madeleine was awaiting him in the drawing room. "I have some news," said she. "The affair with Morocco is becoming complicated. France may send an expedition out there in several months. In any case, the ministry will be overthrown and Laroche will profit by the occasion." Duroy, in order to draw out his wife, pretended not to believe it. France would not be silly enough to commence any folly with Tunis. She shrugged her shoulders impatiently. "I tell you she will. You do not understand that it is a question of money. You are as simple as Forestier." Her object was to wound and irritate him, but he only smiled and replied, "What, as simple as that, stupid fellow?" She ceased and murmured, "Oh, Georges." He added, "Poor devil," in a tone of profound pity. Madeleine turned her back upon him scornfully. After a moment of silence, she continued, "We shall have some company Tuesday. Madame Laroche Mathieu is coming here to dine with Viscountess de Percemur. Will you invite Rival and Norbert de Varenne? I shall go to Mesdames Walter and de Marelle tomorrow. Perhaps, too, we may have Madame Rissolin." Duroy replied, "Very well, I will see to Rival and Norbert. The following day he thought he would anticipate his wife's visit to Mme. Walter and attempt to find out if she really was in love with him. He arrived at Boulevard Malesherbes at 2 o'clock. He was ushered into the salon and waited. Finally, Mme. Walter appeared and offered him her hand cordially. "What good wind blows you here?" "No good wind, but a desire to see you. Some power has impelled me hither. I do not know why. I have nothing to say except that I have come. Here I am. Pardon the morning call and the candor of my explanation." He uttered those words with a smile upon his lips and a serious accent in his voice. In her astonishment, she stammered with a blush: "But indeed, I do not understand. You surprise me." He added: "It is a declaration made in jest, in order not to startle you." They were seated near each other. She took the matter as a jest. "Is it a declaration, seriously?" "Yes. For a long time I have wished to make it, but I dared not. They say you are so austere, so rigid." She had recovered her self-possession and replied: "Why did you choose today?" "I do not know." Then he lowered his voice. "Or rather, because I have thought only of you since yesterday." Suddenly turning pale, she gasped: "Come, enough of this childishness. Let us talk of something else." But he fell upon his knees before her. She tried to rise. He prevented her by twining his arms about her waist and repeated in a passionate voice: "Yes, it is true that I have loved you madly for some time. Do not answer me. I am mad. I love you. Oh, if you only knew how I love you." She could utter no sound. In her agitation, she repulsed him